We'll be on our 17th podcast talking about the launch of the Nintendo 64.
God willing that we're all here.
God willing.
God willing that we're all here. Welcome to the Higher Energy Superpower. This is episode 20 of the Turbo Duo Cast. I am your host, Salvatore Mata, and to my left is my brother from another game show lover. He is the oral assassin. He puts the ass in classic gaming, everybody. It's Trenton E. Wright the Third, Esquire.
We came to party and play with the joysticks.
Real hard.
Real hard.
So, I was just thinking about things about this whole year that we've had, and we're recording this here in mid-December, and I started to think about the Atari Jaguar, because that seems to have taken over our 2020 is discussion about the Atari Jaguar, and our episode today is actually going to be a discussion of the Atari Jaguar itself and a couple of the games
as a unit
that came out for the Atari Jaguar. I feel like there's for me at least, there's been the 5 stages of grief with the Atari Jaguar, and I wanted to look up what they were. So the 5 stages of grief are denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. And
bargaining,
I think,
huh?
Yeah, well, maybe I can do this.
No, yeah, I got
maybe
you.
I can, there's a way that we can make it work. So, denial was I didn't even want to think about the Jaguar to begin the year.
It was fuck the Jaguar.
Yeah, it wasn't even there. And then it was anger. It was I fucking hate the Jaguar. Jaguar's a piece of dirty shit. We're going to take a dump on it, right? And then it was well, maybe there's a couple redeeming qualities, right? Maybe there's this.
It's all right.
I mean, there's got to be something, right?
You sound like a battered wife.
And then you bought a Jaguar, and it started to take over, and there was nothing I could do. I had no control over the trajectory.
You're like, hey, you know what? It's not that bad.
Direction. So I kind of was a little depressed about it. I was like, this thing's gonna be taking over, and now I've accepted that the Atari Jaguar is a part. It's just a part of us at this point, and so I've gone through my 5 stages of grief. The Atari Jaguar is here. It is capping off our 2020. And
it's the only way you can end it.
I can't think of a better way to cap off our 2020. Maybe the 3DO will be the sleeper console of 2021. I don't know.
Nah.
I don't know. We'll see.
Nothing really unique about it.
About the 3DO?
Yeah.
Oh, we're not going to go there. This isn't a 3DO podcast. So we're going to be discussing Cybermorph, the launch pack and title for the Atari Jaguar.
The acclaimed Cybermorph.
As well, the unacclaimed. Well, that's the thing, is we're going to be discussing a game that wasn't as well regarded, and then we're going to be discussing somewhat of a legendary game.
It was irregarded.
Somewhat of a legendary game in Tempest 2000. But before that, I got a few questions for you.
Go ahead, shoot.
Lollipop by Lil Wayne or Lollipop by the Chordettes?
Lollipop, lollipop.
Correct.
Ooh, lollipop, lollipop. Boom, 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 boom.
As I'm pouring my Return of the Mac, Dogs vs. Shinobi, the officially unofficial beverage
unofficial
of the Turbo Duo Cast, because it has the word Shinobi in it.
I think I have to go Lil Wayne on that one.
Lil Wayne, huh?
Yeah.
I thought you would have gone with the Chordettes.
Lick me like a lollipop.
It is a good song.
Of course, that was kind of that was
when he started to
his downfall.
Downfall.
Yeah.
What? Explain.
His music just got terrible after that.
Did it? I haven't really been paying attention.
Oh, all right then. Downfall. I don't even know. I mean, his popularity
infused with mango.
His popularity increased, but the quality of the songs.
Did Steady Mobbin' come out after Lollipop or before? Because that is a really good song.
Wait, is that Drake? Is that
It's him and Jeezy, I think. And we be steady mobbin'. You say you a ghoul.
That was years after that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like that.
I'm talking about 99, 2000, 2002 Wayne.
Right. Fireman.
The Carter 3. Mm-hmm. That was where it peaked.
You would be the expert on that. I would not be. So I'll
Cash Money. CMR.
That's right. All right. Rocksteady by the Whispers? Or
Rocksteady by the Whispers.
Rocksteady by Bad Company.
No, it's like rock steady, steady rocking all night long. Hey, everybody steady rocking.
All right, so if that wins, then what about the Whispers themselves versus the Whisper Song by the Yin Yang Twins?
Now we're just going into all different categories. What about the
There's no rules.
What about the act of whispering as opposed to the group, the Whispers? I still got to go.
Still got to go with the Whispers, right?
Yeah, it's that. There's just steady.
Right.
You can't like that. Just that beat.
All right. Come On, Feel the Noise versus Come On, Eileen.
Oh, it's Come On, Feel the Noise.
Okay.
And that's Quiet Riot?
Yes.
God, feel the
No,
noise.
come on, Eileen.
Girls rock your boys.
All right, 2 more. Sound of the Police, Whoop Whoop by KRS-One versus F the Police by NWA. I know you love KRS-One, but I don't know.
I gotta go Sound of the Police.
Wow, you're going deep on that. You're going, that's an easy F the Police for me, but whatever. The last one, The One by Elton John versus One by Metallica.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say Brian McKnight.
No.
Oh, I gotta go One, Metallica.
Metallica?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
All day.
It's a tight one.
I mean, I'm an Elton fan.
You don't like that one? All I ever needed was one.
Like freedom feels where wild horse can run.
When stars collide,
I like
on
you and I.
The shadows block the sun. Oh, all I ever needed.
Oh, baby, you're the one.
Can you feel that though?
In the air tonight?
Ugh. Let's do some show notes unless you want to comment more on the one, but I think
We covered it.
all right. We had talked about arena made games over one of the last 2 podcasts. It's hard to remember because we kind of flip flopped with WrestleMania,
Hey.
Friday the 13th. But some of the more prominent games, we kind of mentioned this: Predator 2, which is one that we really like; Mortal Kombat, obviously, that they made on the 16-bit consoles, or at least published. NBA Jam, Alien 3, T2, the arcade game. Pretty good games.
All ones. These are the ones we brought up, though, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
But those are, I mean, there were a bunch of stinkers in there, but these are actually like some pretty decent ones. I mean, I pretty much enjoyed, Mortal Kombat and NBA Jam are legendary games. So, I mean, right there. They were shut down shortly after. Probe was the developer for Mortal Kombat on 16-bit. I'm not sure. We thought that Probe was the publisher, but they are actually the developer. And Judge Dredd, Alien 3, and T2 as well. They later became Acclaim Studios London, which was shut down in 2000.
Shut it down. They were running a Ponzi scheme.
It was just funny because Acclaim acquired all of these developers and then almost immediately shut down. It was like they just got too big too fast.
Bought out all the competition and then shut them down.
They wanted to play with the big boys,
but I mean, Acclaim still was going after that.
They were.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, they shut down in 2004.
Oh, 2004. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I was like, there was definitely a bunch of PS2 games they put out.
Yeah, but I think that was just a definition of them just trying to push the envelope a little bit too much. I wanted to tell one. I missed part of my memories section of Friday the 13th that I wanted to mention.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, so I had talked about Adam Shaw, this friend of my brother Sebi's.
Yeah, who could forget?
Right. And how he had brought over the Friday the 13th game. We were living in the apartment in Columbia. And I can remember, and who knows, it could have been the same time he brought the game over. Probably not. But I remember he clogged our toilet.
Of course, that's what you want to remember when you're playing Friday the 13th.
Well, no. The reason why I remember is because my brother couldn't fix it, and he got scared that my parents were going to find out and get pissed. So he stuck his whole hand in the toilet and pulled out pieces of shit and ran outside and threw them over the balcony. And I'll never forget seeing massive amounts of crap in his hands, and he was running from the bathroom to the balcony to throw him overboard.
Didn't even put like a grocery bag over his
Didn't
hand?
even, just barehanded it. just to get it, and he released the clog.
He raw dogged the shit.
His good friends. Yeah.
Cool.
So I'll never forget that. It was,
get out of my way! There's shit on my hands.
they were like grenades he was throwing over.
Oh shit! Incoming!
Just throwing them at people below. It's one of those flaming bags again.
Don't put it out with your boots, Ted.
Don't tell me what to do, devil woman.
Let's do our modern retro moment, otherwise known as our "It's Still Real to Me, Damn It" moment. So I've had the opportunity over the past couple of weeks to play a game called Everybody's Golf VR. As you know, we have a VR headset, a PSVR headset in the studio. And
In the studio.
yeah, in the studio. And so I've been playing some Everybody's Golf VR, which is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. 1-to-1. Everybody who plays it loves it. It reminded me.
The motion, the wands, or whatever they're
You
called?
use the move.
Sony,
You use the move controller, and essentially wherever you're at, in terms of depth, both in the screen and out, or up and down, you can feel when you're hitting the floor of the ground. And so spatially, it's pretty much like 1-to-1. I mean, there's no difference to real golf. In fact, the mistakes that you make in real golf are the same mistakes you're going to make in this game if you make them repeatedly. Like if you hook it or if you fade it or whatever, you're going to continue to do that, and you have to make those corrections with your swing.
They should make you like the Nintendo Jack Nicholson golf in VR.
Just make that one in VR, yeah. Well, it was funny because my brother-in-law came over, who's a big golfer. He was like varsity captain, whatever, in high school. And I don't play golf, and you don't really play golf on occasion, right?
No,
You know,
not even on occasion.
exactly.
There are no occasions.
And he was like, and he plays golf pretty much every time he gets a chance.
I'm sick with it.
And so he plays the game, and then he looks at me and he goes, "Dude, they got to stop worrying about funding any vaccine research for COVID-19 and just make better games like this." Because then nobody would be worried about anything.
That's how it works.
He's like, people would want to stay home. So I thought that was a pretty big vote of confidence. So I call it Big Head VR. We used to call, because Everybody's Golf is Hot Shots Golf. And
all old ones.
And when it came out for PSX back in the day, we just called it Big Head. We didn't know because they were chibi characters, like the chibi Japanese characters, but they just had massive heads, so we called it Big Head. And to this day, we refer to it as Big Head Golf. I don't know if you guys have any of those type of isms with games that you played back in the day where you called it something that it wasn't. But yeah, really impressed by Everybody's Golf VR, so we're going to dive more into that.
So it's on the network or the actual disc?
No, it's a
Physical?
It's a separate game. I got it for $8.
Oh, so it's on.
It's on.
No, that's what I mean.
PSN.
You can buy it.
Yeah, PSN. The drive in our PS4 is broken, so it's all digital at this point. I wanted to do a little bit of a kind of a review with you on the Retro Tank. We never really completed a review of it in terms of all of the content we kind of put through its paces, but we went through Mario, and then we went through Turok, and
you're talking about on the 64?
Yeah. So, in terms of the Jaguar stuff, I think it looked great, right?
Yeah.
And then the only thing with that Retro Tank that was a negative was dark environments. Like, remember we went through that Turok cave level?
Yeah.
And it was just...
I still haven't tried it on my TV, because on my TV it looks great, but I haven't played Turok yet, so I don't know.
It could be just the TV. I mean, it could be. I don't know. But I just remember we played that level, and it was...
You literally couldn't see anything.
No. It made it more scary because it was like you couldn't see like 2 feet in front of you.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if that's... I mean, obviously there's something to do with the retro tank. I mean, that's like a minor...
Oh, no. Thing, very minor. The value you get out of that thing, I think the summation of it is it's a phenomenal device to upscale your...
I love it. I mean, the 64...
regular consoles.
The 64 and Jaguar look great with using the S-Video on it. Looks awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to even take like the Turbo Graphics and maybe put that up to it because you can do
Yeah, you can just do composite.
as composite or S video.
Oh yeah, it has. Oh, that is right. That's yeah.
Yeah, the power booster on the TurboGrafx has that. So, Sal, my little guy, beat Kirby on 3DS.
3DS.
Yeah, he beat
Nice.
he beat Kirby. He needed a little bit of help with the last boss, but honestly, a grown man is gonna have a hard time beating the last boss.
Is it King Dedede still?
No, it's not. So
There's like a new boss.
You have to fight King Dedede because
Dedede.
because he's possessed, and then you open him up, and then you get to fight with him the final boss, which is like this big like plant monster. But I thought that was a milestone for him to kind of get into that.
It's a milestone.
He's looking forward to a few more Kirby games for Christmas, so it's kind of cool to see him kind of grow in gaming and just grow his love for gaming. Because to be quite honest, I think it's important that him and I have the same kinds of interests as we move forward, so that we have something to talk about when he's 40 and I'm 70.
And I remember getting the one on the Game Boy. That was like the first Kirby. Kirby
in Dreamland. That's actually a really good game. Our good friend Jeremy Figeton introduced that to me on his pea soup green Game Boy. Have you seen the mods on the Game Boys now? Just all the different backlit colors and lights and
different
LEDs
backlit colors
that they can do now. It's pretty incredible what they can do with the original Game Boy. Which I like that aspect ratio. Just like to have that screen with it, because when you play it on a Game Boy Advance, it's just it shortens up the screen, and it's like there should be something there, but then if you stretch it, it looks like all stretched out.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have that original screen resolution almost in a way.
The big old brick.
Yeah. 4 batteries, but that thing could go. It's not like the Game Gear.
You turn on the system and it's like, low battery.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, did the original Game Boy tell you when the batteries were dying?
It had the
Did it have a light that told you?
the red light.
It did tell you when it was dying?
Yeah.
Okay.
It would just kind of fade, I think. Or did it blink maybe?
I don't
towards
remember.
The end? It either faded or it blinked.
I feel like that was like a Game Boy Pocket thing. Like the original didn't do that, but I could be
It has
wrong.
the light on it. I know that. The power light. The red light on halfway up the screen on the left.
Does that mean that it's on, or does that mean that it's
it powers
dying?
on, but I don't know. I don't remember if it blinked or if it just kind of faded when the batteries were getting low.
Yeah. Oh well, but
I remember I had like the Game Boy and my batteries were like dying, and shut it off. Wait like a couple hours, get like an extra like 5 minutes out of it,
just like rub them together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pray to Joe Pesci, see if they're gonna work.
Yeah.
Oh man, that would be a good one to get actually. This Christmas would be to get the old Kirby Dreamland game. I wonder if that's on the 3DS store, like if they have that. I imagine they do.
They should.
I imagine they do. Another PSA for you guys. So one of our good friends of the show, Rob, actually disclosed to us a few weeks back that he had a disc rot issue in one of his Saturn discs of none other than Panzer Dragoon Saga, which at this point,
big deal.
At this point, I think is over $1,000. So there's actually a way you guys can tell when you get a game in from eBay or wherever you're getting it from, if you're having it shipped in or even if you're at a store, is if you take the disc and you put it up to a very, very bright light, it can show through the disc, and it can show you imperfections of where there might be a spot that is disc rotted, and you'll know it because it'll look like debris inside the disc, and it's really easy to identify. So when you get a game in, do that and take a look, and then if there is some disc rot, you can report it. Unfortunately, he had gotten this game about a year ago, so there was no recourse at this point to be able to return it. So when you get games in, if you guys are trying to go for collections or disc-based games, just check the discs and make sure that when they come in that they're in good shape, because if not, you can return them and get your money back.
I've literally never seen it.
Disc rot?
Yeah.
Well, sometimes you don't see it on the disc, but if you put it up to a bright light, you'll see imperfections.
You'll see through it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't always happen, but, most of the time I think the discs are good, but you can run into that off chance where even the seller might not know that the disc is not looking too good, So that's just a little PSA for you guys. One thing that's new to the podcast is a Laserdisc player that I wanted to let all you guys know about.
Everyone's just was
I've been looking,
anticipating.
So
it.
I've owned, just so that you guys know, I've owned a Star Wars trilogy Laserdisc box set for about 15 years.
I know. It's
and
a good thing they didn't put it out on any other formats.
It's really, well, yeah, exactly, because that's the reason why I held on to it, is because I wanted to make sure that we'd be able to watch Star Wars again, because where else could you...
Yeah, they only put it out on Laserdisc.
No, what they should do is create like a network of Disney where you can watch like all of their catalog,
Yeah, that'd be good.
everything that they own, and then you can all watch it all in one place. They can even come out with like new shows
Mm.
based on Star Wars. That would be kind of cool, you know? So
Yeah, I think it's kind of past its time.
You think so?
Yeah.
We'll have to see. 2021 might be a good time for Disney to do that.
Yeah.
So I got a Laserdisc player. Our good friends down at Retro Games Plus here in Connecticut had one, and came with the remote control. And I said, I'm finally going to be able to watch Star Wars on Laserdisc. And can I tell you?
I bought this 30-pound machine,
Can I tell you? It's the centerpiece of the media center.
as it
now.
should be in any household.
Absolutely. And
And it's Pioneer, of course, too.
of course, it got to be Pioneer.
Yeah.
And it is just legendary. It is just legendary. And it reminds me of a story. Back when I was in my grammar school, we had my first experience with Laserdisc was in Barbara Jezek's library class.
Bless you.
Barbara Jesek. She was our librarian, and this woman was progressive. You want to know how progressive she was?
How progressive was she?
She wore a man-tailored suit to school in 1992.
Oh, like the sport coat?
She wore a full suit and tie.
Oh, nice. Short hair?
And yes.
Yeah. Of course.
Well, she had long hair, and then she cut it short.
Well, of course.
True story. True story. Also, in about 1995, 1996, she changed her name from Barbara to Shay.
Just Shea? Like Shea Butter?
Shay Jezek. She turned it to Shay Jezek. Yeah. Yep. And then finally, she identified as a male. She started wrestling and took over the WWE as Sheamus.
Wow.
That part isn't true.
Things you never... Are you sure?
I mean, it could be, but no, she did change her name to Shay. But she had this.
You hit her up on
Laserdisc.
Facebook?
I haven't yet. We should
No.
see what she's up to.
Could have been her Laserdisc.
This very well could have been her model. She had this video on like pandas in the Australian Amazon or something like that.
National Geographic?
Yeah, it was like a National Geographic Laserdisc.
Nat Geo.
And I remember seeing like on the screen, I was like, holy crap, this is about the
Look at
clearest,
the clarity.
This is about the clearest thing I've ever seen in my life. Of course, I'm like 5-6 years old. I mean, what do I know, right? But I do remember it looking astounding. So it got me looking, Trent. There was believe me, we're going somewhere with this.
I would hope so.
So the Laserdisc format and Pioneer had something called the Laser Active System. You've heard of this?
No, tell me more.
Well, you sent me a auction for it about a month ago, or 3 weeks ago.
I thought you meant there was some. I thought you were talking about there's something inside like it has a feature that.
So there was a
ones don't have.
Laserdisc player called the Laser Active, and it came with
yes.
modules, and you could get a Sega Genesis module and Sega CD module to plug inside of the Laserdisc player.
Yeah.
So you could play Sega CD games and Sega Genesis games, and it had controllers that were the same as the Genesis controllers. But did you know that they also had Mega LD games?
Pause.
They had Sega Genesis Laserdisc games.
Oh.
So it used a Laserdisc, played on the Laser Active, and used the Genesis and Sega CD processors to play the game.
Are they just like regular Genesis games?
These are exclusive
Ooh.
to the Laser Active system using the Genesis.
Columns 4.
So there's two of them that, and I want you to show the people when this wraps up here. But there were two games that I was looking up that were just, they looked like otherworldly, like we were talking about the Jaguar. But this game, Pyramid Patrol, it's basically a shooter. Think of like Silpede, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in just way more clarity in the visuals. It almost looks like an FMV that is almost polygonal. Like it's just like, it looks so clear. And yet you're kind of like flying through the pyramids at the same time. It looks nothing like a Sega Genesis
In
game.
the sands of time.
It almost looks like an arcade game. But Pyramid Patrol and then Hyperion is another one. These are games that aren't like they're technically like Genesis games that use the Laserdisc format when you think about it. It just uses the Laserdisc itself. I mean, the games are on the Laserdisc as far as I understand.
Learn something new every day.
And did you know? I mean, who knew that there were
I've never,
specific games?
I had no idea.
that
I
you
thought it
could-
was just the Genesis and the Sega CD on it.
Isn't that ridiculous?
It's ridiculous.
Isn't that something? So yeah, if you guys get a chance, check out some of the Mega LD games, Pyramid Patrol, Hyperion. These are a part of the Laser Active video game system. You learn something new every day, and as much as we love video games, I did not know about this. So check that out. It's pretty unique, pretty interesting. Why don't we talk about a couple pickups, Trent, before we get into our system launch special?
Oh.
What do you? I see a couple of things over there, a couple of lingering items.
Yeah, I guess.
You don't want to talk about it? You don't have to. That's okay. We can move on.
You don't want to talk about it. Where did he hurt you?
Show me on the video game cartridge.
Yeah. These were just two random ones I picked up. Not really based off anything. Cyber Stadium Series Base Wars.
What did you refer to that as?
Bless you. Cyber Stadium Series Base Wars.
Otherwise known as Base Wars.
No, it's Cyber Stadium Series Base Wars.
Nobody calls it that.
That's the full title.
I got it.
I only speak in full titles.
Okay, that's fine.
I had no reason to get this though. I was just
It's supposed to be a good game.
Yeah, I saw some video. I think it came up on like recommended videos. I was just watching some video game thing, and then it says this one came up. I was
It's
like,
made by Konami,
yeah, it's on the Ultra.
so it's got a 95% chance of being good.
Yeah, I think it's. It seems like it kind of plays like what's the one on Genesis, like baseball.
Like baseball.
20.
Yeah. Super
Super fun time
active
baseball.
battle cars.
Yeah, it seems like it kind of plays like that. You know, they're like all like robots and tanks instead of like actual like baseball players. And I think there is also like a fight. There's like a fighting thing too. Either when you get hit, or I think you can argue outs on the base or not. And then the other one I picked up was Monster Party by Bandai. You ever heard of that one?
I've heard of it.
Monster Party.
I've heard of it, but I don't know. I don't know much
I heard
about
it's supposed to be pretty solid. I've actually never seen it.
It's
like
got the creature from the Black Lagoon on the
Yeah,
front.
I've actually never seen it at like any store or anywhere. So picked it up at Game Exchange, $15.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's supposed to be rather solid.
What is it, like a platformer?
Yeah,
or
side scrolling kind of game. Yeah,
smash them up.
yeah. And then I picked up Spawn on the Super Nintendo.
You did?
I have it somewhere. I don't know where the cartridge is, but I have the booklet with it too.
Okay.
It's actually pretty solid. It's pretty hard though. Difficulties.
A side-scrolling beat 'em up.
Yeah.
I would imagine.
But like the difficult, it's like gameplays. I was watching some videos where they were talking about.
I
like,
never even knew that this was a game. Another one. It's just like
the gameplay. The gameplay was like kind of clunky and like slow, but it's
an acclaim joint, so it's always a
50,
Russian roulette.
50-50, yeah. But yeah, it's actually like the graphics are really good. Music is really good.
Look what we got on the back of it.
Yeah. I think it's weird because it's one of the games where you get like infinite continues. So
you can basically just blow through it.
Yeah, I was getting really frustrated. I was like, I just want to pop it in and play it for a little bit.
Oh, you were playing?
Yeah, then I ended up playing for like an hour and a half, and there was like some bosses that are just like ridiculous. You have to have perfect like timing. I think it's like the second boss. They're like all the way on the right, and he shoots this laser out, but like it takes up the whole screen, so you have to try to jump above it and float until it goes away and jump down, and then it's like you have to be like perfect like every time.
Mm-hmm.
But like once you get that, it's like so satisfying when you finally figure out the pattern.
Right, just time and repetition.
And there's a password feature in it too. So
well, that's good.
It's got this weird like energy thing. It's because I looked it up. Like if you follow the comic book, it follows it exactly. It's this weird. It's not just like an energy bar. Like it's this like weird code. It's like 9949 or something like that. And it's in the like if you knew the comic, then it would all make sense. And then there's also special moves in it, but some of them are so ridiculous. Luckily, they had the booklet with it because some of the moves.
Did you get the booklet afterwards?
No. The booklet it technically wasn't with it. They had like a box of like booklets behind the register. So I just started looking through.
Oh wait,
them.
so you bought it with the booklet?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
you did. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So
I
said,
hey, if I buy the game, can I just get the booklet with it? And they're like, oh, all right, yeah.
Oh, they gave it to you.
Yeah, because some of the moves like are like they help you in the game, but you wouldn't have no idea unless you had the booklet.
Had the booklet that you could do those.
Because there's certain levels.
There's
where,
a lot of different moves you can do.
There's some levels where you have to like teleport, so you just like turn into this like little blob, and you can like use the D-pad, and you can just kind of float around. But if you look at the move, you have to hold R, do like a full circle on the D-pad, and then press A. It's like just trying to like you'd have no idea unless you had the booklet. Which I mean, I guess if you bought it, you would, but it's a solid game.
I'm getting like a separation anxiety vibe out of this, or like what's the one Maximum Carnage?
Yeah, that's more of a beat 'em up because you can go into the foreground and background as this.
This is a single plane.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's a solid game. It was $15. It's definitely a $15 game.
Yeah.
Right it's there. Definitely a $15 game.
That's good because sometimes if a game was obscure, even if it's just mediocre, it'll.
It's weird because they had like 5 copies of the game for some reason.
Oh really?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why they did.
I've never seen one copy of it.
Yeah, they had 5 copies of it.
Oh jeez.
And then this other one I picked up a while back. It's the.
There you go. Yeah.
The Super Double Deal is
Microcosm is not a deal for anything. I don't care if you paid negative $5 for it.
Microcosm and Ultraverse Prime. The main reason why I got it is because Ultraverse Prime is a beat 'em up, and that's the genre of choice. But I was lied to because it says it's 1 or 2 players.
Oh no! Everybody knows it's 1 player.
Yeah, I know, but I thought it was 2. It says 1 or 2 players.
It does.
So you would assume it's 2 players.
I was lied to.
That's
a lie.
But I mean, I got it for I think I paid $70 for it, and it's usually going for like $100. And this is like in mint condition with like the buy 2 games get 1 free card. I was thinking about sending it in, see if I can still get a free copy.
Yeah, you can get Ground Zero Texas or Jeopardy.
Yeah, and it has both the booklets in it with the little foam pad. So it's a solid copy. I mean, Ultraverse, it's like you were saying, it's a beat 'em up, but
it's a $15 game that goes for $100.
Well, I got it for $70, so it's like a halfway like planned out game. Like they have some things that are really good and some things that just don't make any sense. But like the music in it is just it's like total like 80s metal. And some of them it's it's got that CD quality music in it, but just like the theme song is amazing. It sounds like a Dio song.
Did Tommy Tallarico do the soundtrack for it?
I don't think so.
No. Sounds like a Dio song. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, if you like a beat 'em up game, it's not Final Fight, but there's worse beat 'em ups you could play.
You know what's funny is that out of all these games, I think the best one is Base Wars, and it's the cheapest game out of all of them.
Yeah. Oh,
it goes to show you.
Sometimes that's how it goes.
It goes to show you that you can get some gems for not a lot of money. Yeah, I think it's Super Baseball 2020 is the is the game, and it's a Neo Geo game that translated very well.
Very
to the
well.
To the 16-bit consoles, and I think that one's good no matter if you get it for Super Nintendo or for the Genesis. So one of those that's good on either. Solid, Trent. Well, I did get a few things. We now have a TurboGrafx 16 in the building. We had in
the studio
PC Engine Duo R, which is where we're doing our CD games. I mean, if we're going to be the Turbo Duo, we might as well have a TurboGrafx, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we got that. We've got the
tap.
We've got the booster on the way from Stone Age Gamer. Thanks to Stone Age Gamer for a great deal on that one, and that'll help us hook it up to composite or to S-Video. It can do RGB as well, but I don't know if I'm going to be hooking it up that way.
It has the RGB output on it?
It does, using a Genesis 2 connector.
Oh.
Yep. So you can do a SCART RGB, or you can do the component from the HD Retrovision cables.
Okay.
So you can do either one, which, I mean, that's fine, but I think S-Video is good too.
Yeah.
From that, probably use that on the CRT. When we do some CRT gaming.
Mm-hmm.
We got the 5-player adapter and 2 controllers, so now you and I can play
Bomberman.
all of the 2-player plus TurboGrafx 16 games
like
to our heart's
baseball.
desire, to world-class baseball, and one of them here, Final Lap Twin. So this is one of the games that came with it.
Ooh.
So, and as I understand, Final Lap Twin is like an adventure game. You can do a 1-player adventure where you kind of go up against other racers and a rival and beat them and kind of move on.
It's no like Bill Elliott NASCAR or Al Unser Jr.
Not at all. But there's there's like that first run of the TurboGrafx games when they were still serious about it.
When we thought we had something.
When we thought that there was a competition, which I'm not saying we, because I didn't know about the TurboGrafx really in earnest. China Warrior, which is a sort of a ripoff of Kung Fu, my baby Kung Fu, has giant sprites. And then I had this game, but I didn't have the case and manual, and our good friend here, the other half, sometimes some might say the better half, found the game with the case and manual. So I just shipped off my game and just kept this copy.
Oh, you sold it already?
Yeah, I did. I got most of the value back. And that's the Legendary Axe, which some people say is the best game actually on the
Some
Turbo.
say. That's a bit much.
You think so?
I don't. Wait, that's the one. Yeah, I tested it out.
At least
remember?
of the first run of games.
Oh, I mean,
the Legendary
it's
Axe,
just,
which is one of the very first games
it,
ever for the TurboGrafx.
I find it just kind of like a normal, like side-scrolling slash 'em up.
Yeah.
I don't find it like top tier game,
Yeah. We'll have to have a TurboGrafx 16 episode someday. And then the other one that I got was one that I've, it's always been on my radar, but I never really was going to take the plunge for it. But
it's
I finally
been out of range.
Finally was able to connect with it, and that's you guys aren't going to be able to see this, but it's Knights of the Round, which is a side-scrolling beat 'em up for the Super Nintendo, slash 'em up, some might say.
Ooh.
And there's like a sister game to this that I had for a while, which was what's the other one called? Not Knights of the Round. I'm blanking on it now.
Knights of the Round, something Dungeons, Dragons.
King of Dragons.
Yeah.
So King of Dragons is a game that I used to own, and that had a kind of like an RPG.
Wait, you used to own? What'd you do? You sold it?
I got rid of it a long time ago. Yeah.
And what'd you get for it? You don't even know.
I think $40 back then.
Oh, you just sold it just to sell it?
I don't know. This is before my real collecting days. It was just I had it, and I was like, I can make some money and buy something modern with it. So, this is probably going back to 2011.
Oh.
So this is in the world of retro. In the world of retro gaming, that is an eternity.
Huh.
So this game is a little bit more straightforward.
There wasn't
Knights
even
of the
retro
Round.
gaming back then.
No,
it was just regular gaming.
Exactly. There was no such thing almost at that point. But how 10 years have made a fury and a frenzy, haven't they?
It's got a glossy label, huh?
It does. It's in really great shape, and
with the dust cover on it, huh?
Yeah. We got the dust cover on it. So this is we're beat 'em up fans on the channel, and this is another one that is a more of a straightforward beat 'em up, and so there aren't really too many RPG systems. It's level 1, level 2, level 3, and go through and try to survive. Very, very simple. So
never seen it.
No,
in the flesh.
You've heard of it though. You
know of
the game.
I've never seen the actual cartridge.
Yeah. So I'm excited to plug that one in. Let's do our system launch tournament.
If we must.
We must. And we're in the semifinals.
Because I'm about to bust.
I'm gonna ignore that comment. We're in the semifinals, which pit the.
You can't say you're gonna ignore it. That's acknowledging it.
I'm not gonna dignify it with a response. We're in the final four, everybody.
The final four,
which pits the Dreamcast versus the Jaguar. Excuse me, the Dreamcast versus the Nintendo 64, and the Nintendo Entertainment System versus the Super Nintendo Entertainment System.
It's gonna be all Nintendo, baby.
So I figured since we talked about the 64 last time, we're going to slide over to the other side of the bracket, and we're going to talk about the NES versus the SNES trend.
All right, okay.
So, remember, everybody, we are determining the best system launch in history
Ever.
And we're not talking about modern stuff, of course. We're talking NES through the Dreamcast.
All the results will be on Wikipedia.
They will be. Well, that's if Wikipedia doesn't get shut down. You know, they keep asking for money.
$2.75.
$2.75. I don't know if I can support their agenda. So, on the Super Nintendo side, it's very simple. Super Mario World, Pilot Wings, and F-Zero. On the Nintendo side, we have, get ready, take a deep breath, 10-Yard Fight, Baseball, Clue Land, Donkey Kong Jr. Math, Duck Hunt, Excite Bike, Golf, Gyromate, Hogan's Alley, Ice Climber, Kung Fu, Mach Rider, Pinball, Super Mario Brothers, Stack Up, Tennis, Wild Gunman, Wrecking Crew. You lasted. Good job.
Nice.
Good job.
Nice.
Your diaphragm can get really down there, huh?
Working on my breathing control.
Yeah,
I've been trying to drown myself a lot.
You got to suck it down really deep and see if you can hold on to it as long as you can before you have to actually, spit it back up.
I've been trying to drown
What's so funny?
Yes, I was like
Yeah, we'll wait. We have plenty of time.
I was like, I've been trying to drown myself a lot lately.
Trying to what yourself a lot?
Drown myself a lot lately.
Oh, that's good.
So I'm holding my breath a lot.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. What are we at? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like 11 of those games you can just throw out for the Nintendo. I mean, really.
So remember, our criteria are the quality of the games, the irreverence within their library, and their contributions to gaming's future. And then a minor fourth would be the quantity, as a tiebreaker maybe. So as we've talked about previously, the standout titles for the Nintendo are going to be, of course, Super Mario Brothers, Excite Bike, Duck Hunt, and Kung Fu. Okay. I think you feel iffy about Kung Fu. I think Kung Fu has a lot more merit than I think you like with it. But there's also good titles in here as well. Like Pinball is a good title. Ice Climber is... Golf is considered a decent title. Baseball maybe. But there are some stinkers in here, things that just don't really...
They don't stack up.
No, like Stack Up, Donkey Kong Jr. Math, 10-Yard Fight, Clue Land. I don't know where you want to put the shooting games like Wild Gunman and Hogan's Alley. But it really comes down to about 4, maybe 5 games, probably 4 games. But on the other side, we've got Super Mario World, Pilot Wings, and F-Zero. So, I mean, where do you want to start with these? Or where do we start? You got a lot of quality on the SNES side, but there's only 3 games.
Yeah.
You have...
I think most of those would
Go ahead.
Cancel out pretty much any game on there. Like if you put, obviously Super Mario World would be to Mario.
Mario Brothers beats Super Mario World in my opinion. Because Super Mario Brothers is the one that came first, and it set the precedent for how that franchise was going to go.
The progenitor.
The progenitor. You've learned language. It is the progenitor. You've been listening to a lot of that lately, haven't you?
But I still think Pilot Wings and F-Zero will take out any NES game besides Mario.
So you'd rather play Pilot Wings than
what? Excite Bike,
Bike, or Kung Fu, or
Kung Fu, yes,
or Duck Hunt. I know Duck Hunt's a short experience, but does that hurt the game, or where do you put that? I think Pilot Wings, if we can agree, is the weakest of these 3.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Right.
For sure.
Where I find most of the innovation, believe it or not, on the Super Nintendo
F-Zero.
side is with F-Zero, because
with the scaling, the Mode 7.
The Mode 7 graphics totally changed the game. I remember when I saw that game, that was the most impressive game at launch that I had ever seen. We spent a ton of time in that game, and in those levels, the music was incredible. and it was innovative. It wasn't a game that you saw before. You didn't see those scaling almost of the backgrounds and rotation and the way that there was a believability of the world moving as you were going through those tracks. So to me, F-Zero is really the standout title on this list in terms of innovation. You might argue that Super Mario World is a better game, now that we look back on it. Back then, people were less impressed with Super Mario World than they were with like Super Mario 3. Super Mario World is sort of a minor evolution of what Super Mario 3 brought to the table.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it's not a great game. I'm not saying it's not, and that's the most important, is the quality of the game. So if Super Mario World, and you want to say Mario Brothers cancel each other out, which I don't agree with. I think Super Mario Brothers is worth a little bit more than Super Mario World, because I think its contribution to gaming's history is the biggest of maybe any game, But even if that's the case, if Super Mario Brothers takes out Super Mario World, does F-Zero take out? How many games does F-Zero take out? Right.
You may be right. I mean, probably. I think Excite Bike might even be a better play than F-Zero.
Really? That is a bold statement.
I think so. I never really got into F-Zero.
No?
No, I never even played it until like years ago.
Okay. Well, I mean, I played it in the moment, and I remember just being wowed by what it brought to the table. Maybe just as much as I was by the scrolling effects in Excite Bike and how fast that bike was moving.
And they create your own track.
Right. There was some innovation there with Excite Bike that you didn't, that kind of started, in a way, the idea of creating things in your game world, on your own. So, and then I think, the quantity of games, yes, like we talk about, like, okay, well, if there's a couple of cancellations out, like what does that leave for the rest of these titles? Because there's some value there, right?
Yeah. I mean, there is definitely a better variety of games too. I mean, you got sports games. You got your I don't even know what you consider like a pinball. You got your shooters.
I really like pinball.
You got Donkey Kong. I mean, not Donkey Kong. You got Mario as your like kind of side-scrolling game.
You got a fighting game.
They kind of covered like just about every. I mean, at that time, like every kind of.
You got a puzzle game and stack up.
Every
sort of
genre, but
sports
the thing
games.
is, aren't those were all? It's funny because they were all Nintendo, right? Every single one of those games is Nintendo.
Either that or Nintendo licensed the game, like Irem's Kung Fu.
And then same with Super Nintendo, those all Nintendo games.
Mm-hmm.
So weird.
Yeah, that the launch had that.
There's just no other games.
Yeah, because I mean, you look at.
Well, I guess at the Nintendo at the time, it was their first like system.
Yeah, it was.
So it's like people didn't really know what it was going to be. They had just known Nintendo like had made games, but they're like a system.
Arcade games.
Yeah, they were like a system. I was like, we'll wait and see what happens and
right. But I mean, it literally saved gaming.
No, I understand, but they didn't know it before it came out.
No. I mean, it's tough because like there is so much quality on the SNES side. Like Super Mario World is a phenomenal game. F-Zero is a phenomenal game. Pilot Wings is a good game. I don't think it's a great game. I think it's a good game, and it showcased those Mode 7, that depth. You're flying through the sky type of thing. I think Pilot Wings 64 does it better.
Yeah, that's what I remember.
And I think Pilot Wings 64 had more impact. I didn't even know of Pilot Wings until the 64 game came out.
Oh, the Super Nintendo.
I didn't even know it existed. Yeah. So, if Super Mario Brothers and Mario World take each other out, F-Zero gets taken out by, let's say, Excite Bike and another one.
And was the original NES? Did it have? Was it Mario and Duck Hunt together when it first came out?
What?
On the cartridge?
No,
or
they were separate cartridges.
Separate? Oh.
Yeah, they were separate cartridges. Duck Hunt was its own cartridge. Yeah, which you don't see that often. You usually see the combo card. For both of those. But I mean, even if let's say F-Zero gets kicked out by by Duck Hunt, or even Duck Hunt and Excite Bike, let's just say, just go nuts. Then you have Pilot Wings against the rest of the library. That includes Kung Fu, Pinball. I'm not saying that you're going to spend more time with the NES launch games when you play them. I'm just talking about when we look at all of these different criteria, I think the NES comes out ahead when you look at all of the criteria we're talking about. I might spend more time with F-Zero, and I might spend more time with Super Mario World.
No, I got you.
These are shorter experiences, right? Like Excite Bike, you play for 10, 15 minutes, right? Golf, you might play around. Kung Fu is 10 minutes, right?
Most of those
play
games
through it once or twice.
Besides Mario, are all just kind of quick pick them up.
You might play pinball for more time than you play anything else, But they did a good job with kind of covering their basis, and there was definitely quality there, and the innovation. If these were just all good games, and there was just a ton of them, then I would say, well, it's a little bit harder to pick the NES. But when you have the innovation there with games like Duck Hunt and with Super Mario Brothers, and then you fill it in with all these other areas, you talk about the innovation of Excite Bike. It's a little bit harder when all you have is 3 games on the other side, and really only one was a new venture. Pilot Wings was new, but it wasn't great. F-Zero is really the standout title in terms of quality and innovation.
So we're going with the Nintendo.
If you're comfortable with that.
I'm comfortable.
Let's put it this way. I would feel worse off giving it to the SNES and snubbing this list of games rather than picking the NES. I feel like it's more respectable.
The NES?
The NES. So, if we're both comfortable with that, if you're comfortable,
moving on now,
we're going to move the NES into the championship battle slot.
Ooh, into its slot.
And it's going to be going off against the winner of the Dreamcast and the Nintendo 64, which that should be another fun one.
Dreamcast and 64.
Yep. Again, that's a tough one, right? You got
2 games.
You got high quality versus a lot of great software.
Yeah.
It's going to be a tough one. So
Dreamcast had some bangers, man.
They did. So we got to hook you up with some of those. We got to get you some Dreamcast games, man. Now that you got a Dreamcast.
He's in there.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think it's about that time, Trenton.
Looking at my Gucci, it's about that time.
It is time for a Jaguar conversation.
Have our own little Jag Fest.
We are going to have our own little Jag Fest. It's
Pause.
Yeah, exactly. I just thought of that. I was like, wait a minute. That sounds really, really weird. Anything right off the cuff that you want to say about the Jaguar? Any initial thoughts that you want to get off the dome, or do you want me to just get right into it?
Get right into it.
All right. So,
because I'm sure it'll come up. I'll have some thoughts as it's brought to my attention.
So
are we going through like the history of it?
I'm just gonna go through a little bit of the history of it, just in a tertiary way. Is that too big of a word for you?
Yeah, kind of.
Tertiary, a glancing view of the Atari Jaguar.
Because it has a weird fucking history.
Yeah. So Atari essentially in like 1984, Atari was really kind of bought by Commodore. So it wasn't really Atari anymore at that point. But they took the name Atari and continued with it. They had seen a system that was proposed back in the late 80s, early 90s called the Connex Multi-System. I don't know if you heard of this.
I've never heard of that.
So it basically was a peripheral.
Oh.
That was supposed to be a controller that you could retrofit with a flight stick, or you could retrofit with a steering controller, or you could retrofit with a game controller. Basically, it had a slot that you could put different items in, or different controllers in, to do different tasks. And they just built it out into its own system. And it never got released. But the team that developed this Connex multi-system, it was a 16-bit system, they went on to create a brand new system that they were working on. And that ended up becoming the Atari Jaguar. And at the heart of the Atari Jaguar is a Motorola 68000 16-bit processor, the same CPU that's in the Sega Genesis, as well as the Neo Geo.
The Neo Geo, huh?
Yes. All right. And it had a couple of other processors in there that were both 32-bit processors.
Do the math, man.
And so it could do higher levels of gaming. The problem is that developers who developed the
They
games,
never got to that level.
they got lazy and they just were using the 68000 16-bit processor to make games. So what happened is...
Hence why they had so many 16-bit ports to the system.
Exactly. All it became was a port machine for a lot of 16-bit games and 8-bit games. And so it crippled the system into the perception that it was a system that didn't really compete favorably. It was on par with the current system. So why would you spend the money for a new system when the only software that was advanced looked like shit? Right? So my history of this is really kind of going into like why it failed. The first game that was a real killer app for the system was Tempest 2000. Now
that was like a year, later.
It was a half a year. So the Jaguar came out in November of '93. It wasn't until April of '94 that Tempest 2000 came out, and by that time they had all this other junk software. Like, first impressions matter. The Nintendo launched with Super Mario Brothers. The Super Nintendo launched with Super Mario World. The Nintendo 64 launched with Mario 64. These are iconic games. They're games that sell systems.
Yeah. Well, Genesis, I mean, I guess Altered Beast,
but that was impressive.
Sonic,
Sonic, it was like the second wave.
Yeah.
But when you launch a system with Cybermorph and Dino Dudes,
wait, Dino Dudes released on?
Is that
Trevor McFur?
Trevor McFur and the Crescent Galaxy.
Dino Dudes was a launch. I don't know.
I thought it was.
I'm not saying it's not. I have no idea. I didn't know that was one of the launch games.
Hold on.
Oh, jeez. We got the thesaurus over here.
Cybermorph, Trevor McFur and the Crescent Galaxy, Raiden, and Evolution Dino Dudes.
Oh, wow.
So when you launch a system with...
How not to launch a system.
Here's what you launch the system with. Lemmings, an 8-bit game, Wait,
Lemmings?
Evolution Dino Dudes. I'm just saying. I'm just comparing. I'm sorry. I should have clarified that. But when you launch a game with something that is a two-dimensional...
It's like a point and click.
A two-dimensional puzzler, Raiden, which is essentially an 8-bit shooter.
Yeah. And it looks like one.
Trevor McFur and the Crescent Galaxy, which is a shareware title.
Yeah. It's like one of those demo games you would get on a PC.
On Compact Presario. And then Cybermorph, which is a polygonal mess.
It was more like, it's more like a tech demo.
I actually say that, and that's what I wrote in the script. It's more of a tech demo.
We're going off the script, pal.
But when you launch a system that way, it tends to haunt you throughout the course of that system's life. So, not only that, but the system had, I think, 2.5 million pre-orders in Europe.
Yeah, it was. I think it was. Yeah, it was either 2 or like 2.5 million.
2.5 million.
But then, from what I remember, is Atari was telling all these retail companies that they had to sell the Atari Lynx as well, and they were like, "No."
Right.
And then, so then everyone canceled their pre-orders.
Right.
It was like you literally had 2 million people pre-order.
That would have been the biggest launch ever.
Yeah, I mean that was just over. That wasn't in the U.S. That was just overseas.
I'm just saying that would have been the biggest launch of a system.
I
ever.
mean, we're talking about supposedly.
2.5 million. They didn't sell 2.5 million PlayStation 4s when it launched.
I know and then I think it came down to I don't remember what the number was. Like, was it 50,000 people didn't they ended up selling 2 million?
Yeah,
like that is nuts.
Yeah, so they lost out on all of those pre-orders that they would have had. They also had a late price cut. From what I learned, the Jaguar had the latest price cut from its starting price.
I remember. I did a deep dive on the Jaguar months ago
of any system, and there were console production issues, so they couldn't even meet the demand early on. So you have crappy software, little capture in the community, and and a price that didn't go down and a perception that it's a 16-bit console. So when you add all of that up, it's no wonder that they screwed it. They screwed the pooch on this one. Like, they had an opportunity to make it, and they screwed it.
It's like, what would, like, I don't know.
Every decision that they could have made poorly, they made.
It's like, yeah, you have 2 million pre-orders. Like, just go with it.
The design of the console, actually, it was pretty ingenious, the way that they put it together.
Are you talking about, like,
the way that
the
they
outer system? Or are you talking about the way they made the processing?
Both.
Or, oh, okay.
Both. And I gotta say, of any like console box I've ever seen, is that not the coolest box you've ever seen?
You like just the black with the
all
Jaguar.
black with the 2 eyes.
All black everything.
Doesn't that make you want it?
Yeah, no, I mean it looked, they were trying to make it hip.
The material looks so
yeah.
cool with the red scratch through. Like, all of that looked good, and the system, the way it was designed itself, in terms of the chipset and the way that the system worked, there were bottlenecks, but the way that they put it together and how it could be a 16-bit console, but it could also be a 32-bit console or more if they programmed it correctly. And they just had lazy development. Developers were lazy. They didn't put the software together.
Or was it lazy, or was it just that the system they were just running into problems trying to develop the games?
It could have been.
And it was like, well, why don't we just make it on a different system that's way easier to program for?
Well, and the thing is that by the time they had software that looked any better and played any better, the PlayStation was already out.
Yeah.
The Saturn was already out. So, they lost a little. I mean, the Saturn launched earlier than it was supposed to, and it had Daytona USA. It had Virtua Fighter. It had Panzer Dragoon.
Established titles.
It had, like, bangers, dude. Bangers on bangers. And what are you going to do if you're the Jaguar at that point? There's nothing you can do.
Take a beating.
Yeah, you're done.
Slash the price.
So it's really a sad tale, and like I said, I've gone through my stages of grief with a Jaguar. Now it's like, I kind of like it. What the hell?
So what could have been,
It had potential. It had a lot of potential. The controller, that was the other thing. The controller is, I know you think it's got its redeeming qualities, and it does.
Well, I'm talking about now.
And it does, but I'm saying that controller, when it came out, like, people looked at that and said, what is this?
Yeah.
This is not a controller. What is this, the ColecoVision? Like, I'm not playing it this way, So it's just it's a tragedy. It's kind of like a minor tragedy, the way the system came together. Everything that happened around it. So let's chat a little bit about a couple of the games. So Cybermorph was the very first game that came out. It was the pack-in title for the Jaguar. And that's the other thing, is if you're going to make a pack-in title, you have to make it a title that shows off the system favorably. Like,
there's no way. It just is weird. Like, when they put it out, they were like, yeah. Did they think they really thought, like, yeah, this is the game, this is the one that's gonna put us back into the top.
If you go to the list of available games, they weren't gonna make Raiden the pack-in, right? They weren't gonna make Dino Dudes the pack-in.
No,
they wanted to show 3D.
No,
that was the only 3D game that they had available at the time.
But I'm saying, when they were finished with the game, do you think they were all like, yes, this is the game that's going to help us sell the systems and get us to the top?
I think they said, this is all we have.
This is the best we could do.
It's like the 3DO
in the time.
It's like the 3DO with what's the racing game that they had on that?
The not Burnout, but the racing game.
The racing combat game that came out for 3DO, the launch game.
Oh God, I know. I can picture the front cover, but now I can't figure what the hell the game is.
Hold on.
We'll look it up in our notes.
We're gonna get there, everybody. Let's see here. Crash and Burn.
Oh yeah.
Crash and Burn. So that's the other thing. It's like these systems that launched, these kind of like halfway systems that were early, but they weren't quite powerful enough to be the next generation, really. They launched, and it was just, they just kind of threw it together.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think that they came together and said, this is the game that's going to make everybody buy it. But then again, there were 2.5 million pre-orders in Europe, right?
Well, that was just on hype.
Could have been.
They were like, oh, Atari's coming back, oh, we have a 64-bit system, and, Have you gone and watched all like the promo videos they have?
Oh, I've seen them.
I mean, they were really trying.
They were pushing it. But they were also trying to be innovative too. Like we'll talk about this later, but they had like the Jaguar VR that they were planning. So we'll talk about that in some of our when we sum up everything. But they were trying to push the envelope, and I think it just didn't work out. It just didn't work out. They tried and it didn't work out. They just made the wrong moves and they ran out. So Cybermorph is it's developed by a company called Attention to Detail.
How ironic.
It is very ironic. Well, and maybe they just didn't have maybe Atari was just like, you got to get it out.
Yeah.
You got to finish it in this.
Yeah. I mean, it couldn't be. I mean, it's not probably all their fault.
It's all their fault, though. I will tell you. You know why? Because these are the other games that they made.
Oh.
Blast
on the Jaguar or in general?
32-bit. Blast Chamber.
That's not good?
I don't know if that's good or not. That's the only one that I'm iffy about.
Because I thought I remember.
But look, the other ones.
Go ahead.
The Incredible Hulk on.
Ooh, is that the one I'm thinking of?
I think it's the 16-bit one. I think it's published by U.S. Gold.
Oh, I was just gonna say U.S. Gold. I know that for the Sega.
Blue Lightning for the Jaguar. The
Jaguar. That's supposed to be good though.
Is it?
Yeah,
okay.
That's supposed to be like that was a pack-in game as well for the Jaguar CD. Not that it doesn't mean it's great. I'm just saying.
I'm only giving
decent.
you like the games that I kind of know of. There were some other ones in there that I didn't even bother to put on the list.
Right.
Sydney 2000 for the Dreamcast.
Oh, like Olympic
the
games?
Olympics.
Oh.
Yeah. Ducati World.
Racing game?
Yeah, for the Dreamcast. Somewhat forgettable.
Yeah.
I don't know much about Blue Lightning, but I know that came out for the Lynx, and then they ported that over. So Cybermorph is a third-person flying, free-roaming spaceship shooting game. I mean, I think it's the best way to put it.
Yeah.
It was originally a 3D carpet, like flying carpet demo that was created for this Connex multi-system that I was mentioning to you. And so they basically moved that over and created Cybermorph. But then Cybermorph is almost like just a tech demo itself. Exactly. So you fly this, it's called a T-Griffin fighter jet, and then the goal is you have to capture these pods and destroy these robot bosses at the end of the sectors. There's 40 levels spread across these 40 sectors.
Holy shit.
And eight planets for each sector, yeah.
Holy fuck.
You have a virtual assistant that helps you during the missions.
AKA.
And gives you indication of how many pods are left, or if you got hit by a projectile, or if you did something well. She is a bald green face, and we just called her
Sinead O'Connor.
Didn't everybody, though? I mean, she looks identical to Sinead O'Connor.
Yeah. I mean, that was the first thing I thought of when we played it back in the day.
We just called her Sinead O'Connor. We didn't call her anything else. It was the first thing that came to mind. I mean, nothing really compares, right?
Yeah, nothing.
Nothing really compares.
Nothing compares. She could be Demi Moore in G.I. Jane.
I kind of have a thing for her. Is that weird?
No, not at all.
Right.
I mean, we're talking like 1995.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like Demi Moore's, she was
not like Ashton Kutcher, Demi Moore.
I can't even visualize that. Are they still together? They're not still together.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. I'm not up on my current events with
on your
stars.
Kutcher news.
Yeah.
Don't worry, no one is.
That 70s show revamped. It's now the 90s.
Yeah.
They all have kids.
It's
just a sad existence.
Yeah.
Oh man, I wonder what that whole cast is doing.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah. 95. Wasn't that Striptease came out? Was that her, Demi Moore?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah, G.I. Jane, Striptease. If she was in that. I don't know.
Pumping out the jams.
I don't know. She's got an appeal. I don't know what it is with her, but I don't know.
Very confident woman.
Yeah, but sensual at the same time. You know. We talking about video games? Yeah, so I mean, we talked about some of the downfall of or the shortcomings of Cybermorph, but it's got the thing about it that I don't really like is it's got
Is everything?
yeah, it's got really really poor draw distance. Like you can only see yay in front of you. It's just there's no world. You're just traveling through just
Yeah, you just
a couple polygons at a time that are loading into the screen, and then the sound is just. It might be a more advanced Atari 2600 game in terms of the sound effects that you're getting.
just like engine static and just like shooting.
No
like,
music whatsoever. Really, even though it's a 3D polygon-based game, it's got really rudimentary objects and landscapes.
spheres.
It's just even because even some of the early polygonal games like Virtua Fighter or Virtua Racing, there's some character to those flat shaded polygons. You can make out the trees. You can make out the bridge.
You can see what you're doing.
Yeah, and the terrain, the way the terrain moves is it flows in a way that you find realistic.
Like Virtua Racing, even on the Genesis.
Even the Genesis version. But in this game, it doesn't help that there are panels within each part of the terrain. Some are pink and some are white and some are orange and yellow.
It's like 6 colors.
You're just basically flying on a quilt. Is what it is. It's just there's no rhyme or reason to anything, and so it's hard to feel like you're in a believable world when they put it together that way. They could have made it look like a forest or something. Put a hill, browns and greens, and make a stream running through it or whatever.
How many ways can you say this game is bad? This is what we're doing.
I guess so. Yeah. So there's
as a launch title.
I would call it a barely acceptable frame rate. I mean, it's constant, so that is good. But if you look at it's funny because the speed at which you're moving and you're moving through the world is different than the frame rate or the animation refresh of the enemies. So the enemies are sort of like they're not moving fluidly the same way that you are. So it makes it really jarring when you're moving through that world. It's just, I don't know. Should I stop? But even at the time, like the reviewers of the time were saying that compared to games like Silpede and Star Fox, it didn't even compare to those games. And those games came out before that.
Oh, no.
For the 16-bit consoles.
It's just there's no... I mean, Star Fox it has such a just like the story, the characters. There's nothing in Cybermorph.
Like that music of Star Fox.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was
just the sound of it. Literally sounded like a space adventure.
Yeah,
it
got
just
you.
The lasers,
it got you
everything.
Going. And that game was formatted in a way they said, okay, we've got limitations, so we're gonna make it a forward-scrolling 3D game where there's the player isn't responsible for moving through the world.
Yeah,
we're gonna manage that. They just have to move up and down, left and right, and enjoy the world.
Just that's how it should be. Just focus on what you can do, and don't worry about what you can't do.
Right. Exactly. So work within the limitations to make a positive experience, and I think that they just bit off more than they could chew with this game. They wanted to make it bigger than what the Jaguar was maybe ready for at the time, or maybe there was bottlenecks within the Jaguar that didn't allow them to make it more advanced.
I mean, that just kind of. It's literally the story of that's like the story of the Jaguar.
It's almost like a anecdote for the Jaguar itself. Yeah, I mean at the same time though, it's not like if you watch a playthrough of Cybermorph, it's not horrible. It's just not fun. You know what I mean? Like at its best, it's less than average.
Yeah,
you almost feel you almost feel like it's just busy work. You're just like. All you're doing is going through the levels, collecting these little pods, and just getting to the exit. That's pretty much all it is. But even then, like the objectives are kind of opaque. They don't really tell you where you have to go in the level. And sometimes you're just running around randomly and you don't know what you're doing. There was one level I saw you have to blow up a sonar dish, and that's not even in like the synopsis of the level you're going into. But you have to do it, and you don't even know that that's there. So it just was. There were flaws.
There were flaws.
There were just flaws.
Mistakes were made.
Yeah. Jesus, is there anything else I can say?
I think that's enough about Cybermorph.
Well, it had a sequel on the Jaguar CD, which is Battle Morph. So it's a Jaguar CD, which is a add-on to a system that nobody bought. So 5 people have played Battle Morph, I think, in existence. Would you say 5 people have played Battle Morph?
You could surmise that.
Surmise, big word for you, Trent.
Hey,
Jeez,
coming up.
Wow, look at you, huh?
Pow!
Wow. I mean, obviously I'm joking, but there can't be
Not really, though.
that many people who have played Battle Morph. But I was even looking at videos for Battle Morph, and it doesn't look that much better than Cybermorph. There's music in it now,
That's a big thing.
Yeah. But in terms of it's still flat shaded. There's no, and it was funny because that game came out at the end of 1995, and I just said, you know what? I just want to compare this to something that came out around the same time. So I threw on Descent, a launch game for the PlayStation. Worlds like you look at Descent now, you're like, what? This is a piece of shit. You look at it compared to Battle Morph, it's like a ray tracing next gen PS5 game.
So it wasn't up to par, man. I don't know. That's just literally the story of the Jaguar.
I would like to check out Blue Lightning because I haven't seen that yet. If that was
just look up a video.
No, I know. I'm just saying I don't know how that compares to. That's the problem, is that by the time they were able to make something that was maybe even halfway decent,
way too late.
It was way too late. So
it was way too late. About 5 months after the system came out.
Well, that's the thing is, after 5 months, people were like, "Yeah, we're not doing this. Yeah, we're done." And they were pretty much 12 months away from the Saturn's launch. So
nope, wrap it up.
Yeah, so the time was up. So let's talk about something that's a little bit more positive, in fact, a lot more positive, and that is Tempest 2000, which came out in April 1994. It was the first real killer app for the console. It was created by Jeff Minter, also known as Llamasoft. Jeff Minter is a big fan of cattle type animals. So he named his company Llamasoft. His favorite animals are sheep, just in case you wanted to know that. And so he revamped David Thor's original Tempest from the arcades to make for the Jaguar as a killer app. It's a polygonal. I learned this today, Trenton. It's a tube-based shooter. You ever heard of that?
No, I haven't. I mean, it makes sense. It's not like there's a wide array of games in the tube shooting genre.
No, it's its own. It's almost like its own genre. So as opposed to a first-person shooter or a scrolling spaceship type shooter, it's fixed to a defined plane where you can only move side to side as enemies are entering the screen and on the grid, and they're sort of coming in waves at you, and you have to destroy them before they get to your plane.
Waves is gonna be coming in Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Your nuts gonna be drained.
When the enemies get to your plane, you have no recourse to shoot them because you cannot move backwards normally, and so you're sort of left for dead if that's the case. So you have to destroy all the enemies before they can get to the end of the.
Well, you can still
end of the web. We will talk about the power up.
Sir,
there is a power up that can help you to jump backwards. That can save.
Oh, not even a power up. It depends on which way you're facing. So when you're turning, you can turn like that.
Yeah.
If you turn like that, you can get the enemies that are coming from the left.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh, how when you're spinning on that U.
Yeah.
So if you're on the left side, you're kind of faced like that.
It'll shoot to the right.
So it's what
if an enemy
they're shooting like that. So you're not going to get the ones coming from here because obviously you're shooting inwards. But
if they're coming from the right,
when you're turning like that way, you can still, as far as I remember playing it, and you can get them that way.
It's a lot more difficult to do it that way.
Yeah, I know. Because you start freaking out. You're like, oh my god.
Exactly. So I mean, and the reason why is that it's kind of a psychedelic game where there's a lot of effects going on the screen, so it's hard sometimes to judge when that does happen, where and when you have to shoot. Once you've defeated all the enemies on a wave, they're called waves, you move on to the next web. There's 100 in the game. There's 100 levels. There are some power-ups, as we mentioned. So there's an AI droid that can fight with you. And so you get this power up, and it'll just run all through your plane of the web, just shooting and helping you out with the enemies. You can get stronger guns. There is a jump ability that actually allows you to jump backwards, back of the web, and you can move left to right and actually shoot those enemies that have gotten to your plane. So that's really helpful. And then there's also these warp tokens that you can get. If you get 3 warp tokens,
Yes.
and you finish the level, you can actually get to this warp zone. And so that is a 3D flying spaceship game, which is a little bit more open-ended, and you have to go through these
Rings,
what you call them?
kinda.
Warp rings.
Yeah.
And if you get through every single warp ring on the bonus level, you skip 5 levels and move further through the
Oh, is
game.
that what it does?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't even realize that.
Yep. And in fact, that warp level has this very, very cool sort of line scrolling plane that is like debris. It's almost like space debris that creates a sense of depth and scale in the game in that level, so that you can feel like you're moving through space, which is a really, really neat effect. In fact, you should show some footage of that as I'm talking about it, to give people the idea of what you're doing there. But the game is just iconic for bringing music, a psychedelic neon visual and particle
Super
effect.
disco party.
It's simple but very, very, very tight gameplay, and it brings all of those things together to make more than the sum of its parts. We talk in our episodes about games that bring together more than what they are in their individual pieces, and that is Tempest 2000. That's the definition of this game, between not only the gameplay but all of the sensory overload that you're getting. It just creates this like sense of like joy as you're playing.
Everything's blowing up. You got the music blasting. You're just going sweeping left and
the
right.
The music is ridiculous, and then it also has really excellent sound effects and iconic voice samples as well, like "one up," or excellent. And then you have the yes, and then the most iconic Super Zapper Recharge, and you just hear these voice samples over and over, and it kind of just endears you to the game. Like you want to hear that more and more and more and more. It's a simple game with a simple objective, and it defines fun.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and that's really the glimmer of hope for a console that clearly could have done more, but with lazy development, it just cemented it as a pretender, and not really much better than the 16-bit generation. But if they had more games like Tempest 2000, more innovation, more 3D, more, and when I say 3D, I don't mean like a 3D TV. I mean games that are in the third dimension. If they had more advancements that way, if they thought more outside the box than just ramming it down, trying to say, well, we need more 3D games, whatever they are, just put them out there, they'll buy them. Jeff Minter thought a little bit more. He was a little bit more thoughtful in his development of the game to use the system to its strengths and make something that was beautiful, no matter whether it was going to be on the Jaguar or it was going to be on the Saturn or PlayStation. In fact, there were ports that were made for the Saturn and for the PlayStation. And when you talk to people who play these games, most people say the Jaguar version is their preferred version of the game.
Have you played the one on the Saturn?
I have. I love it. I think it's great.
Yeah.
But again, I haven't played it side by side with the Jaguar version.
Is it literally just the same? It's just the exact same game.
Tempest 2000.
Oh,
yeah.
it is.
Yeah, I think that they did make some changes with it. I don't know if there were music changes or what, but to me it plays the same. So I don't know. We'll have to do a little comparison of the two, but no, I love Tempest 2000. In fact, it was one of those games that I played when I got my Jaguar back in the day. So
it's an addicting it's addicting play.
It is. It's almost like it harkens back to an earlier age where it was just like, it's just about, how you say like, it's just got to be fun.
Yeah.
And like an earlier, I don't know, it was a couple episodes ago, you're like, that's all that fucking matters. Like, that's all that matters is fun. And that game is the definition of fun. And it's not something that has to be long and drawn out. You don't have to learn crazy controls. You have to learn? Left and right and shoot.
Yeah. And
maybe another button to jump every so often. You know, and it
Just
was
did it
advanced.
right.
It was advanced at the time. I mean, 1994, April 94, to have a 3D game like that was as fast as it was. That had, I mean, when you listen to that soundtrack, it sounds like it could be off of a CD. You don't feel like you're playing a cartridge when you're listening to that soundtrack, do you?
No. Yeah, I mean, they ended up they put the soundtrack on a CD too.
Yeah, they released it with one of the CD games. I think it was a launch. I think it was the pack-in with the Jaguar CD. They gave you the soundtrack for Tempest 2000.
Did they?
I think so. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, along with a couple of games. I think VidGrid was one of them.
Yeah, it was VidGrid, Blue Lightning, and Mist.
Is that what it was?
I think it might have been the Mist demo. I don't think it was the full game.
Okay, yeah. So I mean I love that game. It's just, I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. It's fantastic, and it's that's like where we look at the Jaguar and say, man, like what this thing could have done. You know, what it could have been.
I mean, that would have been a great launch title.
If that was the can you imagine if that was the pack-in?
It's like, I don't know. I'm trying to compare. I guess it would be like if Nintendo had, or like if the Game Boy had Tetris as its game. I think like the Jaguars would be Tempest.
If the Game Boy had,
Game Boy
Tetris?
they launched with like Tetris.
right,
It's not like a Mario game. It's just like a puzzle game.
right.
I mean, and then Tempest is kind of just like a simple game.
Mm-hmm. You're saying because Tetris was a simple, addictive
Yeah.
that just brought people back
Yeah,
again
yeah.
and again and again.
That's
the
what
same
sold this. That's what sold the Game Boy. Everyone's
Right.
like, I want to play Tetris.
wanna play
It's like
Tetris.
it's so addicting.
Yeah.
It's like the simplest game. Nothing like flashy about it. It's just fun.
thing. Right.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what frustrates us about the system, is that they had software like that, and then at the end of '94 you got Alien versus Predator, and that was another game that was more advanced. You hadn't seen something like that before.
Yeah. I mean, I just remember.
But it was too little and it was too late,
'Cause it's too
and you can't apologize.
late. No. Yeah, I mean, I remember seeing it in the magazines back then. I was like, oh yeah.
Did you
yeah.
see Tempest 2000 back then?
I don't remember seeing it. Like it just obviously the one I remember the most is Alien versus Predator, because it was on like in like EGM, and like
You
it was
talked
like
about
at their
that
like
last time.
it was like their game of the year, for the Jaguar,
Yep.
and that was like the one games. Oh man, this game looks great, but it was like no one had a Jaguar. I don't even think anyone knew what a Jaguar was.
Most people did.
Like if I went back into like my 10-year-old self and like asked any of my friends, oh, you hear about the Atari Jaguar? We're like, what? They're like, huh? Like, what the hell's that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
because, well, I'll get into it. But the last thing I wanted to mention was we talked about the Jaguar VR a little bit, and I most of my modern gaming, to be quite honest with you, is VR at this point, because they're
Oh, really?
Because they're shorter, quick experiences that just capture you, and it's like that final frontier. Whereas most regular games that are coming out for traditional modern systems
You gotta play 97 hours.
are long, drawn out games that frankly I don't have the time for, and I don't want to learn all the controls. I'm kind of done with that.
I've had enough.
Unless it's something that really speaks to me, like Breath of the Wild.
I've lived through it all.
I just don't need it. So I'm playing, a lot of Everybody's Golf VR. One of the games.
You sound like a jaded wrestling fan. This shit they're doing now.
Tell me. I mean,
all the flip flops and the high dives. I just want wrestling.
that's right.
I
just want good, fun games. I just want to play fun games. And I discovered through the research, it's funny, like how, us doing this podcast is almost selfish for me to figure out and find out stuff that I would have never known if I wasn't doing the research.
Yeah.
So I wanted to mention, I want to let you talk about the picture that you. Well, you know what? No, I'm gonna mention it now, just because we're already on the topic. So basically, I was looking up all this information about Jeff Minter and Llamasoft, and Jeff Minter has gone on to make Tempest 3000 and Tempest 4000. Tempest 4000 is on the modern consoles, so you can get that for.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can.
I don't even know those came out.
You can get that for PS4. TXK is another one that came out for Vita that I bought back in the day. When I say back in the day, I mean like 5 years ago.
Oh, Tempest.
Which is basically Tempest 2000. So they're just revamps of Tempest 2000. They're more advanced, in terms of the graphics, the effects, and that kind of stuff. I was really hoping there would be a VR version of Tempest 4000. They kind of didn't have time to do that. They kind of moved on to something else. They wanted to get it in there. They had it up and running, but the certification and the QA and all that stuff, it just didn't work out. But Jeff Minter came out with a game in 2017 that was a spiritual successor to Tempest 2000 called Polybius. And this is you're basically, it's a scrolling, three-dimensional, automatic scrolling tank shooter where you're moving forward into the world, and it has the same
kind of the same graphical style of
graphic
Tempest.
style effects, but it is a fever dream. I mean, this game is a VR game, and it's $15 on the PlayStation Network, and it that's the thing, like it immerses you. Like Tempest 2000 was a game that immersed you. It made you, like, it sucked you into the television. Like you kind of got taken over by it. And you put on that headset and you play a game like Polybius with all of these visual effects. You've got warping of like the ground, and you've got it's going a mile,
like the same Tempest
a
explosions.
mile a minute. You're hearing the same voice sample, so you're getting that callback to Tempest 2000. Meanwhile, it's chaos on the screen, but it's all controlled chaos because you're moving forward automatically, and all you got to do is press one button, shoot and move. There's a tube-based level where you're going around in a circle, and it's almost like an F-Zero X level, if you remember those F-Zero X levels where you were going on a hole like a pipe and you could go around because it was magnetized. Same kind of thing, and just neon and particle effects. Just it runs so fast.
Everything's
so
just like blowing up like as you're flying by.
I don't know.
It's like breakneck speed. You have to just be like lightning quick response and move back left and right, left and right, left and right, left and right, left and right. Then you have to pass through those horns.
Horn gates.
Yeah.
That's
so the thing is, you have to be right in the center. If you hit the edge, you get like 3 shields, and then you die, and then that's it. That's game over. But man, I guess I don't know if you can get like all of them in just like one shot going through, because it gives you that little
you were doing that for a while.
Yeah. But there's some of them, and then they're like the little the bricks will pop up, and you gotta shoot those out of the way. Some of them like the right in front of the power up, so you kind of gotta make a decision. I want to go for it. I want to just avoid it for right now.
But you know what I mean? Like it's a game. Like I started with that game, and immediately I just started smiling. I just started like laughing and smiling, because I was like, this is it. Like, this is what I want. This is a classic game. This is what, let's say, like the Jaguar VR was aiming for. Like this is what they were trying to do back then.
Yeah.
They just ran out of money and ran out of time because they screwed up on everything else. But I'm guessing that they were, that could have been, they could have made a Tempest 2000 VR. They
I mean, they were almost there with Missile Command. They had the mode in the game.
Yeah. But man, I'll tell you, that Polybius game, I don't know how you felt about it, but I want to jump back into that game because it's just, dude, it's a fever dream.
When you start out, you're like, all right, cool. This looks pretty sweet. And then like when that speed picks up, you're like, this is fucking nuts.
Yeah. I mean, you were laughing, right?
Yeah.
You were going through. You're just like, this is ridiculous, but in a good way.
Yeah.
Just like, it's so much fun, and there's little that it's like Star Fox. We just talked about Star Fox. There's little you're responsible for other than move forward, like just left and right,
destroy
shoot.
everything, collect power-ups.
But then they're gonna what's the term? They're gonna provide the entertainment for you with all these visual effects that are gonna be flying by your head as you play. So if you guys have a PSVR headset, I mean, just buy it now. I mean, if you haven't heard of this game before, or if you haven't played it, buy it now. It's $15 on the PlayStation Network, and I think it plays on PS5 as well. If you have a PS5, although I don't think anybody has a PS5 right now, with the bottlenecks that they're having and all the sniping people are doing.
So how old is Jeff Minter now?
I think he's in his.
Was he young then?
Yeah, he was young. I think he's in his late 40s, maybe early 50s.
Really?
He doesn't look old. Like if you look at him, he looks like a normal.
That's
dude.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Like Tempest was 94, and then that's 23 years later, and it's like,
yeah,
still,
he's still making games now.
He's still like modern. He knows like what to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the dude is nuts.
Yeah.
The dude he lives on like a farm with sheep.
That's why it's called Llama Soft.
Llama Soft.
Just like obviously on the Jaguar Defender 2000.
Yeah.
You know.
It's a freak out, like Macho Man,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But you had sent me a picture. We were texting back and forth, and you had sent me a picture of a guy who's in the Jaguar community that he had a picture of himself playing. Jaguar VR.
Yeah, from I think it was 2006 or something. Because in the picture there was like a Wii in the he had on his shelf, so it was obviously around that time. It looked like it was from probably like 2006, 2007. But I don't know how I think there was maybe two, or maybe it was either one or two of like the actual ones they made.
A third one has been discovered now.
Oh, is it three? Yeah. Because I know there's the one they have at the Jag Fest. I can't remember if they're still doing it, but
I would love to play that. I would really love to play that.
But yeah, they would always bring it there. I guess you just play the missile command game, but I don't think you can use the missile command like the regular one. You have to have like the demo copy of it that had the VR mode in it.
Oh right, okay.
Because they had the VR.
I'm sure they've ripped that.
Because the VR mode is in the car. I could be totally wrong.
I'm sure they've ripped that to a skunk cartridge or one of those other ones.
Yeah,
you can put the games
so I
on.
guess that's the only game. But like if you actually play the missile command like in the VR mode,
it's really good.
Yeah, I mean it's good. You could tell like if this wasn't like whenever I think whatever it came on 94, 95, and like you had a virtual reality headset. You could definitely tell it play well because it's
a first person.
You got the missiles coming in there they'll blow up right in front of you.
To look around.
Yeah,
basically.
I can imagine it would be pretty solid. I mean, I'd love to try it now, see how it plays.
Oh, listen. If they have JagFest again, I kind of want to go.
It's not like it's gonna be in Connecticut. Coming to a town near you.
Listen, we'll travel for it. We'll go, man. We'll do it. Why not?
All the Jag heads.
Get busy living, right? I mean, why not? What the hell else are you gonna do? But yeah. So It's
funny because just like years ago, I was like, what the, I just remember like years ago finding out about Jag. I was like, who the fuck is gonna go to a Jaguar Jag?
Dude, up until 3 weeks ago, I said that.
Yeah, and you're like, I kind of want to go now.
Yeah, I don't know. If the Jaguar bites you,
because it's so weird.
It is. It's
so weird.
It is so weird.
Like none of it makes any sense. Like how there's people still making games for it. Like I don't know why, but they do.
It's such a small community, but they've all been bit by the bug, and it's just like they can't.
Yeah, it's just that weird thing. It's the audience is small, but they're hardcore. Just same with pretty much like underground rappers or musicians or bands. They're not huge, but the people that follow them will buy anything they put out or support them till the end.
And I remember I've been looking at that picture of the VR headset and like the sensor.
Yeah.
And I just been studying it and
I've been trying to break it down in my mind.
Because there's almost like a camera sensor, and then there's these 3 ports where you can put either another controller into. Like the way the design works is not that dissimilar from what the PlayStation VR does. There's a camera and then there's a processing unit, and then it goes into the system. So it's
when I see it, I just think of those knockoff Wii systems they would have. That's what it kind of reminds me of. Those like $20 fake Wii systems they would have at the stores.
I remember those
with the cheap infrared remote.
Yep.
I'm sure that's kind of how it worked back then.
You think so?
Yeah.
You mean like you had to have that like right in front of your head to like?
Yeah.
Because I didn't see any lights on the Jaguar headset.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I'm sure that there's got to be video of like someone playing it.
I would love to see that.
I should look it up. We gotta look that.
Yeah.
Gotta look that up.
Oh, one more thing about Tempest 2000. I believe that it does have rotary controller support, but that's something
that's a mod that someone just made.
No, but
recently.
I mean the game itself has support for it, and then somebody modded a controller to put in a rotary, almost like in a Pong machine, and it works in the game.
Oh, I didn't know if it had. Oh, I thought someone made it and it just happened to work for. I didn't know there was like that the game had to be programmed to use it.
That's what I mean. The game supports it. Like it actually moves.
Oh yeah. So like you can mod the control. It's literally the only game it'll work for. But I mean,
the original Tempest used a rotary controller.
It's like if you want to, I guess you could do it.
Yeah. Picture like a Pong machine, guys, from like the late 70s or early 80s, where you have an actual dial to move left and right, and then that button pushes in to fire. Same concept for the rotary controller. I imagine that's a pretty penny though.
No,
to
it's on eBay. Someone's charging $30, and I would assume
that's
that
the
you
aftermarket version though, right?
Well, no, that's all there is.
Oh,
It's
really?
It's not an official controller.
Oh, they don't make it.
No.
Okay,
No.
all right.
It's only a mod that someone's selling. I remember it seeing listed for $30, but I'm assuming that's if you send them a controller, they do it for you.
Okay.
Because the controllers are going for like $20. I don't think someone would mod it for their own controller for $30 and mod it.
I gotcha.
I could be wrong, but I would assume that's how it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, I mean, my memories of this, if we can get into that, I mean,
Mine are the same as yours.
Exactly. So I remember, so it was probably mid-1997, KB Toys was having their liquidation of Jaguar consoles.
Yeah, that was...
for $50, $49.99.
That was when Hasbro bought the Atari name.
Pretty much right around then. Was it 97, 98?
Yeah, they just bought all their stock and then just liquidated it.
So they had, KB Toys always had this one propped up display that had the pig that would be oinking, and they would have the ferret that was rolling on the ball.
The fish game.
Which one was that?
With the fishing poles, and you got it with the magnet and the fish.
Oh, yeah.
Or then that little thing. It was like almost like a loop. It would. What was it? It was like a little animal thing that would go down this little track and then go it would go up the thing and then
yes,
and then,
yes, it would hop up, and then roll all the way down.
Yeah.
So they had these little trinkets in this this mini kiosk, and then what they would do is around that, outside on the floor of the actual, let's say the hallway of the mall, they would stack up these Jaguar consoles.
But then they also had a display. So if you're walking into the store and right on the right was the register area,
yes, yeah,
and they had the little TV with the Jaguar system set up.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah.
Even into the liquidation?
Yeah.
Oh, geez, I didn't even know that.
Oh yeah, they had
okay.
it. They had it actually. You can actually play it.
I remember picking up one of the consoles that was sitting in the actual corridor of the mall and bringing it in and paying for my massive Jaguar box.
Oh, you mean it was out in the hall,
it was on the brown floor, like out in the
tile floor
in the Eastbrook Mall.
Oh, I remember when they would do that. Yeah,
and they would stack them up and make like a little half circle.
Yeah, they could make a house out of all
those
systems.
They literally made an igloo out of the Jaguar consoles, and so I just grabbed one off the top. And I grabbed Tempest 2000 either that day or maybe a couple of weeks later.
The games must have been like $20.
They were $20. They were $19.99. Yeah. And I just remember they had Flip Out, I think was one of them that they had.
It is a game.
They had Flip Out, Checkered Flag.
I know they had Kasumi Ninja. Because I remember seeing
and
it.
I saw that, and the one that caught my interest, thankfully, was Tempest 2000.
And you had never heard of it before then?
No.
Oh.
Never heard of it. But I remember taking it home.
I mean, that box art is pretty sweet.
It is. I think it's better than any. Like, they made it for the PSX and they made it for the
they're
kind
Saturn, of just like.
And they're just like a spaceship.
This is like a space. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. But that demon that's like clawing at you.
Like Goro.
I don't know if you ever see him because I've never played through the whole game, of course. But I just remember bringing that home and being like, this is like really solid. It was almost like more of a novelty though. I wasn't like I was really serious about the Jaguar. I knew that it was a dead system.
I mean, you couldn't be when you picked it up at KB Toys for $50.
Yeah,
you were like,
yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So I just.
It's not like you're fully invested in it. You're like, $50.
Well, thankfully I got Tempest because I played Cybermorph and I was just like, I don't know what's going on. This is choppy as F. I can't see anything. I don't know what I'm doing. And all I'm hearing is, where did you learn to fly? Where did you learn to fly? Because the collision detection was terrible.
You just keep going into like the side of the mountain.
Yeah. So thankfully we picked up Tempest 2000 because that's a game I actually spent some time with. And I remember showing you when you came over.
Honestly don't remember playing Tempest. Are you showing me Tempest 2000? This was like 2002.
Yeah.
That was the first time I was like, holy sh! I was like, you have a fucking Jaguar? I think this is like the first time I came to your house, or the second time. I was like, what the fuck? A Jaguar? Yeah, we just played that. I was like, maybe 5 minutes, and I was like, all right, well, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Cybermorph. I don't remember Tempest 2000 at all.
No.
Do you remember
Yeah.
playing it when I was there?
We just ran through all the games, and then we played White Man Can't Jump.
Did I not buy you that game?
You did.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
So that wasn't the same time. That was
brand
like
new in the box.
yeah, was it with the tap? No.
No, but it was complete in box.
Yeah,
I think you probably got it for like $5-10. You
Like,
just wanted to see how it
as
played.
a joke, yeah.
Yeah. Did you end up playing that again when you got it?
Yeah.
And what were your thoughts?
One player is
Yeah.
It's not, as with a lot of games, it's not terrible. It's not great. It's
like Barkley Shut Up and Jam.
It's passable. I think if you're playing 2-player, it'd be a lot better.
Because I remember we were ready to start laughing at it, and then we kind of almost enjoyed it. So it wasn't like as funny as we thought it was going to be.
Yeah. It's not terrible, so
Yeah.
I don't know. If I never played it again, I'd be fine.
Yeah. I mean, the system was kind of an enigma to me still. It was, I played 2 games really in earnest, Cybermorph and Tempest 2000, and that was pretty much it. I mean, I ended up selling it when I moved out with my wife, and we had to get an apartment. And
I regretted it every day since.
I don't regret it.
No, I know.
I still don't, but, it would be nice to get an in-box Jaguar, but they're just so expensive now. It's just...
Yeah.
You almost have to find it by accident.
Which is how I got mine.
Yeah.
I was helping my friend sell some of his toys, and I mentioned it before, and then he's just sent me a picture of a Jaguar. I was like, same thing. I said, you have a fucking Jaguar?
Yeah.
I was like, how the fuck would you have that?
That's what you say when you find a Jaguar in anybody's house.
Yeah, it's like, you have a fucking Jaguar? It's like, why? That's what I said to him. I was like, why do you have that?
He's what did he say?
He was like, I don't know. My ex-wife. My ex-wife got it for me.
Yeah.
I was like, did you ask for it? He was like, no. I was like, oh, this is so perplexing. I don't know how someone would just go out. You must have got it on eBay or something. And it was like, yep, yeah. This is what I'm getting.
This is what we're doing.
But it literally it's been sitting in a box for 15 years, maybe. It
is a pristine console. How many games are you up to now?
I think 22 and 20 complete in box.
Out of 53?
I guess technically there's 56. I think they counted some of the ones that came out after the Jaguar. Like
they're officially licensed.
Like
but they
Skyhammer, I think they counted as an official release.
Yeah.
So yeah, 20. Yeah, I think 22, 20 complete in box.
What would you say do you have a top 3 Jaguar games that you like to play right now?
I haven't played it in a few weeks, but I mean, Tempest 2000. All right, so if I had to pick my 3, it'd be Tempest 2000.
Is what?
Is probably number 1.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think. I'm trying to run through like all the games in my head right now that I have. Probably Tempest 2000. Cannon fodder. Cannon fodder is fun, man.
I love cannon fodder, man.
love me some cannon fodder.
Hell yeah. Cannon fodder is great.
And then third, man, it's either like Wolfenstein or Doom. Like you're kind of swaying me into more Wolfenstein because the Doom doesn't have the music, but it's not really that big of a deal to me. But like the Wolfenstein,
I still think Wolfenstein plays better.
But yeah, but Wolfenstein is just like a perfect.
And those sound effects of those, like opening the doors.
Yeah, and it's just because I don't have any version of Wolfenstein.
No.
I mean, you could play Doom on like 100 systems, but I mean, I guess you could on Wolfenstein too. But I don't own any version of Wolfenstein.
But the thing is, like, you can play Doom on anything.
Yeah.
You can't play Wolfenstein on everything, and even like the Super Nintendo port's kind of trash.
Oh yeah. I think so. I guess those would probably be my 3.
That's a solid list right there. I think.
You actually
there's something about
man,
Alien versus Predator.
I think the 4th, like a tied for would be Missile Command, the Missile Command 3D.
That's a good one too.
Even though it's like you get Missile Command the original one, and then Missile Command 3D, and then the VR mode. Even though it's like Missile Command is Missile Command, but it's still fun.
Now we're looking at the Jaguar from a whole new lens because it's 2020. What about Raiden? Because that's a personal favorite of mine.
It's fine. It's not. I'm not that big. I'm not as much into it as you are. I don't really. it just seems kind of.
Don't worry, you're not disappointing.
No,
me here.
I know.
It's fine,
I'm just
right?
like there's not. It doesn't really wow me in any way. It's just kind of like even like the sound effects. I don't know. I just like I feel like there's so many better shooters to play. You know, I mean, not on the Jaguar, just on other systems. That it's just kind
Are
of.
there any other top-down spaceship
No,
shooters on the Jaguar?
Before I don't think so. That might be the only one.
Might be the only one. Yeah. What about Alien versus Predator? Where would you put that?
I really only played it that one time.
Yeah.
When we were here.
I kind of want to jump back into that with a guide.
It didn't grab me. I think there was literally 25 years of hype behind that game. You know, because it was 94. They were
Too much.
They were
tuna.
like, I was like, this. I just this is the game. This is the game because everyone said it was like the greatest game, and then it's like,
yeah.
It's cool. It looks great, and
Mhm.
then but it's like when you play Doom and how fast that moves and how easy it is to move.
It's tough.
You know,
I get it. It's tough. Yeah. No, it's an intriguing console, man. I'd love to play NBA Jam TE on it.
yeah, that's the one.
You know, that would be one I'd really like.
It's the most expensive version of NBA Jam TE.
Probably, but I mean, it's probably the best version.
And I got the team. I got the multi tap too.
We're ready to go, Trent. We are ready to go. We just got to find a few more friends.
Yeah. And then they'll say the same thing. It'd be like, hey, you guys want to play NBA Jam TE? Yeah, definitely. And then we pull out the Jaguar. Like, what the fuck is that thing? What is that? I can't play this.
It's actually a dental hygiene unit. It actually takes X-rays of your teeth, and it plays video games.
Yeah, multifunctional.
So I was thinking back on it as I was putting this together, and I didn't realize that I got consoles every year from 95 to 99 because I got my 32X in 95.
So did I.
I got my PlayStation and my Saturn in 96.
I got the PlayStation. Yeah. Yep.
Saturn was the Christmas gift that I got with the 3 free games. I got the Jaguar and the Virtual Boy in 97.
I think I got the Super Nintendo in 97. I mean, no, 64.
64.
I don't think I got it. I definitely didn't get it when it first came out. It might have been, yeah.
So
okay.
I got my 64 in 98. I bought it with Christmas money right after, like the day after Christmas.
Yeah, then
I went up to Walmart and I got it. I got it with WCW versus NWO Revenge. That was the game I wanted for it. Of
course. That's what everybody got. Yeah, that was the last system I got. The 64. Well, not the last system, but the next one was the PS2. Yeah. That was in like 2002.
Yeah, and then of course in 99.
99, huh?
I got the Dreamcast. So I didn't.
99.
I didn't realize that was.
You were on a streak.
I was. I didn't realize. I think I got my PS2 in 2001.
Oh, right, like a year after it came out?
Yeah, I think so. It was late.
Yeah, I remember because I remember you gave me a bunch of PlayStation games. Like, you're getting a fucking PS2. Do you remember that?
No.
You don't remember?
No.
You need to get a PlayStation 2. We went to the Buckland Mall.
Wait, I said that to you?
Yeah. You gave me like a stack of like PS1 games to trade in towards to get a PS2.
I did?
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
It might have been like 5 or 6 games or whatever. And I just
did we get some money for them?
And obviously we got something. I don't know what it was. And then I just paid the rest for the PlayStation 2.
Hell yeah. All right.
You don't remember
That's
that?
it. Partners in crime. I like that. Did you get GTA 3 with it?
No. Wait, GTA 3 was out then?
Yeah.
Oh. No, I don't think I got any game with it.
Oh.
I think I just had some on my PlayStation games.
You were just playing.
I had like WrestleMania, the arcade game, and Tekken 2.
You were playing it with the smoothing filter?
Tekken 2.
Playing the games a little bit more upscaled?
Well, I'm not really. I was playing on a tube TV through an RF switch, probably.
Probably. That's funny that you got a PS2 and we're playing PS1 games on it. Yeah, but you had the system.
Yeah.
You were ready to go. Well, as we wrap up 2020 here, guys.
Wrap that gavel up, B.
So we've had 8 episodes in 2020. We had 12 episodes in 2019. We've obviously had more production in 2020, and we've also had a pandemic to deal with at the same time.
Yeah.
I wanted to see what you thought in terms of a favorite game out of the list of franchises that we talked about in 2020.
The Shane Douglases.
Yeah. So our first episode of the year was Final Fight 2 and 3, which we released right after the new year. I think that was in February. We had Paperboy, Doom, Smash TV, and Robotron.
Robotron.
Yeah. Well, we discussed Robotron with Smash TV. World Cup Soccer and Dodgeball. Friday the 13th, Ghouls and Ghosts. WrestleMania, Tempest 2000, Cybermorph. What would you say would be your favorite game out of that entire list?
Smash TV.
Wow, Smash TV, huh?
Yeah.
More than
I think
more than WrestleMania?
Yeah.
The arcade game?
Yeah, definitely.
Smash TV.
I mean, WrestleMania is fun. It's I love it, but
it's one note.
Yeah, like Smash TV.
And it's not a note that it's like the quench gum.
And the thing
doesn't last.
It's always the quench gum. The thing is with Smash, like the thing is Smash TV. There's the two versions that you can play that are great. You can play it on the
Nintendo version, man. Oh my god.
And then I think the Super Nintendo is the I don't know if to say it's the best, but it's a great version. It's a great version of the game. And just those two games are fun. Like 2-player, you have more fun playing those 2-player than you would WrestleMania 2-player.
Yeah, definitely.
Because you're playing together, like co-op. WrestleMania, you're just going against each other, you know.
Yeah, I mean, Smash TV is definitely a solid choice.
I'm just going for straight up fun.
Yeah.
If Final Fight 2 and 3.
What a disappointment! No, that's the biggest disappointment.
I think they're not the worst.
They're not the worst games.
Favorite and least favorite.
Okay, so I'll give you my well, give me your least favorite, and then I'll.
Well, yeah, it has to be. Well, hold on, let me just look at it real quick. It has to be Final Fight 2. I mean, Friday the 13th.
2 probably, right?
Well, I'm just counting them both. I mean, Final Fight 3 is not great either.
It's not.
Like Friday the 13th, I know what it is. It's.
I don't want to hear any shit from you guys about Final Fight 2 and 3 being good. We are the beat 'em up experts. Final Fight 2 and 3 are not good games. I don't care. You can battle me, bro. I don't give a shit who you are, what you think. You can come at me with Final Fight 2 and 3.
You'll put it on wax.
And I will give you 10 games easily better than Final Fight 2 and 3. I don't care how much those games cost. They phoned it in on those. They screwed the pooch. Those games are terrible.
But yeah, everything else, like Paperboy's solid. I mean, I think the Super Nintendo one is probably the best version. Like Doom, those like Friday the 13th is, you know what it is. It's not terrible. It's kind of fun to play through for a little bit. Like World Cup is great. Like everything else is good, but like Final Fight 2 and 3 is just
they're the most disappointing for sure.
Yeah.
They're the most disappointing.
Yeah, so sure. Smash TV would be my favorite, and then like most disappointed, least favorite would be the Final Fight sequels.
Yeah. I think my favorite game is
Ghouls and Ghosts.
No, I think it's Doom. Doom is my favorite game on the list. It's just that's
I got you.
It's along with Wolfenstein, of course, and that Wolfenstein was before that, but it just set that tone, that horror tone in a first-person shooter. It had, I don't know, it was that 32X environment for me playing Doom back in the day. It was just that next level, and a focused first-person shooter experience, and so I don't know. It's just out of all this. I love Ghouls and Ghosts. I really like Dodgeball, of course. We've talked about that. Paperboy, I've got a soft spot for. Smash TV on NES, I didn't realize. I didn't think it was going to play as good as it did. That is just ridiculous. I love Tempest 2000, too. Like, I love that game. I can't put any other game over that. And I'd say worst game is almost harder for me to come up with. I can't say Final Fight 2 and 3 are the worst games. They are the most boring. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't
really include Cybermorph on that list, since it's not really. We didn't go into like a deep dive about it. I mean, I guess you definitely could say Cybermorph is the worst game on there.
I think Friday the 13th is my least favorite.
See, I almost would play Friday the 13th over Final Fight 3. You know, that's just me.
Yeah, it's weird because Final Fight 3 is boring, right? But Friday the 13th frustrates me.
No, yeah, I get it.
So it's like, what do you like? It's like
what emotion do you want to feel right now?
It's like you got shit in one hand and puke in the other. It's like which one do you want to drop first? You know, and it's just hard to, I don't know. It's hard to pick. I mean, gun to my head, Friday the 13th.
It's fine. No one's gonna argue that.
Yeah, it's just I can't. I don't know. There's something about it. I just can't.
People weren't feeling the World Cup dodgeball.
No, they weren't.
Least watched
I know.
episode of the year.
I don't know why. I think sports games, you know.
It could be. I don't know.
People want to see the other stuff. So, and we'll keep that in mind for future episodes.
No, we won't. We're gonna do what we wanna do.
Yeah. So like we've talked about, guys. I mean, this podcast is all about reliving the memories. You know, trying to go back and enjoy these old games. If we can find new games that kind of harken back, like this game Polybius that we're gonna plug in after we're done here.
Speaking of, did you see they're putting out like a Ghouls and Ghosts remake, like remastered or some kind of?
No.
Yeah, I
love me some Ghouls and Ghosts.
Just announced like the other day. I don't know if it's like a collection or if it's like a remastered version. I just saw it the other day.
Oh.
Just an FYI.
I'll have to check that out. But yeah, so go back and play some old games, guys. I mean, that's what it's all about. Go relive your history. Go relive your past. Go share some memories. Go talk about where you were, what you did, and talk about Adam Shaw taking a big shit in your brother's toilet and having to throw it over a balcony.
Even if it's not about you,
or having to ride your bike to was it Johnny Zabore?
Yeah, there you go.
Johnny Zabore's house, and playing some WrestleMania on the Super Nintendo and watching how absolutely slow and plodding all three Shawn Michaels were. That's what it's all about. All we have is our history, our memories, our friends, and the things that matter, which is our. I think what 2020 has taught us is that what matters most is the experiences that we can have with the people that we love and care about. So that's what this podcast is all about, and remembering those good times. So go out and play some classic games and enjoy them with the people that you love if you can. Anything else?
Wrap that gavel up.
We will hope for a happier and more prosperous 2021. But it's been a fun 2020. I love doing this, and we'll continue to keep rolling with you guys and come up with some new ideas for some great games. And as we've mentioned in the past, we are always open to suggestions for games that you guys might want us to cover. You can catch us at the turboduo@gmail.com. We're also on Instagram as the Turbo Duo and on Facebook as the Turbo Duo. And we would love your suggestions or thoughts and on the podcast in any ways that we can provide more enjoyment for all of you.
And then search on YouTube the Turbo Duo Cast.
Yeah, let's keep getting some subs on there, guys. If you haven't subscribed to the podcast on YouTube, help us to get our landing page on there so that you guys can find us more easily. We want to reach as many people as we can with this kind of content. So your help would be appreciated in boosting our numbers up there. If you can remember to get on there and subscribe, and as my son says, hit the bell for the notifications so you know when podcasts are going to be dropping. And with that, Trent, I think we will bid 2020 adieu.
A bid adieu.
Absolutely. Be safe.
Get out of my life.
Be happy. Get out of my life. Be healthy. And as always, Trent,
What's that?
Keep it turbo. Enjoy your Christmas and your holidays, everybody.